Do HSPs struggle more with perimenopause? The short answer is most likely. Hi, I'm Ashton, HSP psychotherapist, HSP myself, and helping other HSPs live a life they love. So, HSPs in general tend to have high sympathetic tone. What that means is we have an overactive nervous system, sympathetic nervous system to be exact. And why that happens is because you could say that HSPs have 100 antennas taking in all this information from the environment and noises and sounds and temperatures and other people's energy, whereas a non-HSP has, you could say, maybe 10 antennas. And it really depends where you are on the sensitivity continuum, because there are some HSPs that are super, super, super sensitive, like myself, and then some that are sensitive and maybe they have 50 antennas as opposed to the 100 antennas. So taking all this sensory information into the nervous system can cause hyperarousal or over-arousal of the sympathetic nervous system. So what does that have to do with perimenopause? Well, as we go through perimenopause, our estrogen levels diminish. Some of the common symptoms of perimenopause include hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, headaches, mood swings, vaginal dryness, all the fun things. So what also happens with diminished estrogen levels is that it increases sympathetic tone, meaning more arousal overactivation in the sympathetic nervous system, which probably accounts for the potential for increased irritability and agitation during those perimenopausal years. So HSPs are already hypersensitive or particularly aware of what's going on in their bodies. Generally speaking, you can imagine that perimenopause could affect HSPs even more so than a non-HSP. Not to mention that with the hot flashes, since we're already aware of the ambient temperature, typically speaking, then, that's the temperature of the air. I know when I walk into a room, I can tell immediately if it's too hot or too cold. I'm very sensitive to temperature. So we're going to probably feel those hot flashes a little bit more or a lot more than a non-HSP. So let's look at some of the things that we can do to ease some of these symptoms during perimenopause. So because my license doesn't allow me to prescribe or speak to supplements, I'm going to leave that to a functional medicine provider or a naturopathic provider or an integrative medicine provider, which I highly recommend everybody have one of those. Or at the very least, HSPs, when they're going through a difficult time, such as perimenopause, have a functional medicine provider so they can really guide you as to what supplements your body wants or desires. And then you also have to be, women have to be particularly careful. Like myself, I have a history of cancer. And so there are definitely supplements that we have to stay away from. And of course, no hormone replacement therapy, which again, I'm going to leave that to your doctor to talk to you about that. Some things I can talk to you about are, it's so important that you get sufficient sleep and deep restorative sleep during these years. Years of perimenopause. When you get into that deep restorative state, that is when your body does all of its rest and repair, restore and repair. Exercise is also something that's incredibly helpful to ease some of these perimenopausal symptoms. And again, listen to your body. Some bodies prefer gentle exercise, like perhaps bar yoga or taking a walk, whereas other bodies prefer maybe something like CrossFit or a spin class. Personally, I am the more gentle, which I think many HSPs prefer the more gentle type of exercise and body movement. Another thing that HSPs can do to ease perimenopausal symptoms is make sure you get enough daylight, especially in the morning. You really want to make sure that your cortisol levels are at their optimal. So early daylight exposure is a great way to do that, reducing stress. How do we reduce stress? Well, exercise, getting enough sleep. We also have to be really mindful of alcohol intake. I know a lot of HSP women like to have a glass of wine in the evening because we've been overstimulated all day. So it's really important to build in breaks during the day so that you don't just go, 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 and then you're just out of juice come 5, 6, 7 o'clock, and you just reach for that glass of wine to soothe your overstimulated nervous system. Another tool is monitoring your HRV, your heart rate variability. I'm going to talk about that in another video coming up, and I'll go into much more detail. And heart rate variability is one of the best and most researched methods of monitoring your stress levels. And it's something that you can work with. It's something that through breathing exercises and meditation and tuning into through your heart, you can actually increase your heart rate variability, which reduces stress. So I hope these tips were helpful to help ease some of these symptoms of perimenopause as you go through these precious years of change. And if you found these tips helpful, click on the link below for your free guide. And remember, the more you know about your sensitivity, you too can learn to embrace it as your greatest asset. See you next time.